Okay, well, been a little quiet for a while because I've been out. Been with my grandson Luca. I look pretty good, huh? Anyway, this right here is a little foam rubber apple, and this was the original meatball. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, the story that I tell everybody, and it's the God's honest truth. My wife was making meatballs one Sunday morning, and I was sitting there drinking coffee. I better tie my shoes. I was drinking coffee, watching her, and I noticed how she was rolling the meatballs. Okay, and I said to myself, well, that's the type of articulation that would control or quiet down the hands, okay, when a blocker was trying to make contact with a defender. Okay, and if I'm going to get a little closer, if you look at it, okay, the thought process was boxer, okay, elbows in, protecting yourself, being able to roll your shoulder and strike when the opportunity presents itself, okay? So, you know, I mean, I've talked about it different ways, you know, mixed hands, the basics, but if you look at it, okay, the meatball, it brings the hands close together. We used to say tight hands, but of course now we're dealing with mixed hands, and sometimes we're dealing with split hands, okay? But the thought process was to uncouple the hands with the feet. Learn how to move the feet without bursting. Okay, and for me, bursting is simply this. I'm running and I'm bursting. Now, if I was fighting somebody, okay, I'd be in trouble because I'd get hit. Okay, so what we wanted to learn how to do is just like a receiver catches the football, he has to uncouple his hands from his feet. We wanted to learn how to uncouple so that we could ensure contact with both hands. Okay, and remember, when we play long, we're not talking about this. We're talking about hands preceding, very similar to a boxer, hands preceding contact. Okay, and if you look at me fundamentally, okay, I'm a small target with tight hands. You know, my hands are preceding my head. That's what we want. We want to make contact first with the hands. And we found that we couldn't do it like this. The timing, at times you can do it. You can certainly do it against dummies and sleds and what have you. But when you're fighting a guy who's trying to fight you and beat you, you know, he doesn't always cooperate with your straight timing. Okay, of course everybody wants to hit like this, but we found that keeping your hands in proximity to the target, you're not, you know, you're not developing that much more force with this windup. And this is a strike. A strike is very effective against passive resistance. But active resistance, in other words, a bull is sitting there, you walk up and punch him in the side of the head, great. If he's attacking you, try to punch him and stop him. It ain't happening. Okay, so we developed the meatballs, and I don't know, we just started playing around with it. We've had many incarnations of the drills, but the initial drill we made stuff up. Okay, one of the drills that everyone always asks me about, okay, is what I call the jitter. And what we're trying to do is, number one, stay in that fundamental position. And number two, learn to move our feet before, I'm going to get into the center here, learn to move our feet before we move our weight. Now, when you want to maintain stability and you move your weight before your feet, I mean, it's a natural occurrence. You know, Mother Nature wants you. She's going to bring you home. Okay? What we wanted to do is, and I call it, you know, hate to say it, but it's the tango. You know the tango, you know? Move your feet before your weight. move your feet, okay? Move your feet before you move your weight. Okay, so the jitter was simply this. And you know, the words have changed a little bit, but basically it's a quick downshift followed by return. This is very similar to stuff Jim McNally's been teaching for 100 years. Okay, so downshift, and that's about it. And what we're trying to do is stomp our feet. The reason we stomp our feet, we used to call it stomping ants, but it roots our feet. Just imagine you're on your toes. You got a little problem, you're slipping around, okay? We want to root our feet, want to stomp our feet, so, okay? And we always added some sort of a finish to it. So the finish would be, in this case, what we're doing is we're changing to a plow. So let me go through it. Brace, rebrace, rewind, rewind, shuffle, shuffle, plow, okay? And we just want to add a finish to change the pace, to get used to changing the pace. So basically, what we're doing is rolling meatballs, brace, replace, rewind, rewind, shuffle, shuffle, plow. Okay, now of course I'm not the greatest athlete in the world, but once again, boom, 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 pop. And what we're doing is, again, we're working on stability, we're working on rooting our feet, we're working on moving our feet before we move our weight. And as bipeds, we're going to move our weight somewhat, but what we don't want to do is move it in a manner where we lose stability. Now, of course, we're doing this from the big tree, but we're practicing on air. You wouldn't go up to a guy like this and hope for the best. It's going to knock the crap out of you. Okay, you would have to teeter into him or fight him some way with resistance. Get your feet behind you to get the force vector going towards him. But when you're on air and you define the force vector too soon, you fall on your face. Does everybody get that? Okay, so let's just talk about the drills themselves. Okay, the first drill was the jitter. Again, let me just do it real quick. Brace, replace, rewind, shuffle, shuffle, plow. Okay, pretty simple. Another one that I would do now, I would burst to a gallop. This would be for open field blocking. Okay, I'm trying to get in front of a screen or a sweep, and as I get in within striking distance, I get into my combat, the gallop, okay? And the thought process of the gallop was to keep a fundamental stagger and have an advantage to go to the back leg, figuring that we would establish leverage to the back leg, and if the man went over the front leg, we could just shut him off. Fundamental, stable, balanced, and moving. Okay, so what I would do is I'd have the guys burst into a gallop. Pretty simple. Now we do this every day for about 3 or 4 minutes, and the effects are cumulative. Okay? It's not going to happen overnight. But again, you're teaching the fundamentals, okay, the big tree, okay, the wide roots, the low butt, the long arms, the movement, okay? That's what you're trying to do. Another drill that we do, and I really got into trouble with this drill working for one guy because he couldn't figure out why we were doing it, is the arc. Now in this case, we want to go as fast as we can, so we do want to move our weight, but we want to step deep. And to tell you the truth, this is the old Delaware wing T stuff. And the first time I really thought we could apply it, I saw Bill Callahan when he was coaching Wisconsin. This is a million years ago. Basically doing the same step. And all we're doing here is we're trying to open up and turn the tank to the sideline. We want to step deep if we can. We always initially try to move the foot first, but then we move the shoulders because we want to go this way first. We want to stay in the gallop, keeping our hips open. Okay, we don't want to cross over, because if we do, we get hit. We want to open our hips, gallop, gallop, and go. Now, if you're in a gallop for more than 3 steps, you're probably going to get hit. So if you come into a red light area, square up, get square to air so that you can hit in both directions. Get fundamental. Make sense? Okay? Another thing that we did was the shuffle. Okay, and if I was doing the shuffle now, and I keep trying to get rid of this, but I can't. Okay, let's say I'm a front side tackle and I've got to block a jet end, and he's right on the edge of the stovepipe in a C-gap run. Okay, if I turn right now, he can rock on me. Okay, I got to get in front of him. If I scoot right now, I get into a teeter before I contact him. He runs up the field, I got a problem. So what I want to do is shuffle, shuffle, scoot. Okay, so I want to take 2 shuffles. I used to say 3, but I think it's more realistic. He's beyond striking distance. He's too far away from me to get him with a scoot right now. Can't do it. I saw a great scoot the other night. Brendan Scherf, Redskins. He got called for holding, but he wasn't holding. He ran the guy over. It's beautiful. But in any event, striking distance, I just scoot if I got to cover somebody. But here, I want to shuffle, shuffle, then scoot. Okay, and of course, if I get into a teeter, I'm going to fall on my face. But I would get into a teeter to hit the guy. Okay, I try to get under him and flip him up and the whole bit. Okay, makes sense, mixed hands, the whole bit. Okay, so that's shuffle. Okay, once again, I'm shuffling to my outside. Shuffle, shuffle, scoot. Okay, makes sense? Okay. Now, another one that we've done, I think I'm the first guy that's done this. I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. I haven't never seen it before. But, you know, what we've done is what we call it cow tipping. Let's say I'm double teaming a 3 technique. Okay, what I want to do is open my stance up a little bit, bring the back foot to the front foot, and then hit the avalanche. And what we're doing here is we're traveling. If I want to go this way, all right, usually what we do is we downshift or do something in that direction. But if I have a man that's helping me, he's building a brick wall in front of this 3 technique, and he's going to give me a nice picture to hit, but we want to stay square. We don't want to turn our shoulders. So what we do here is we move the back foot first, move it towards where we're going, and there we go. And what we do, we wind up with a nice avalanche. Okay, take a look at it. And I can gain ground without turning my shoulders. Okay, I can work through the guy. Now we're only going to do this when we know that we have a brick wall from a partner. Okay, that's when we do it. Okay, it's not like downshifting to hammer. It's similar, but it's not identical. It's a part of a double team. Okay, and we call it cow tipping. There's the cow. Your man's going to hold him up, and we're going to tip him. And we try to do it, of course, with our hands, because if we bury our head in them, we can't see anybody, and we're committed. It's a mess. I'm not going to get into the medicine ball stuff, but what we're doing is we're using the meatballs to do it. Okay? Makes sense? All right? We do the jitter. We've also done just downshift. Okay, just downshift. Okay, just to get the use of that thing. I don't know, we've done a million different things, but I think you get the idea of what we're trying to do. Once again, this whole thought process put us in a boxer mode. Elbows in. We know that if the ball is dropped, our hands must have come apart. What I've changed a little bit is now we do let you separate your hands for certain things. Okay, but I can't emphasize enough. We've also done this. Okay. Just that, but you see my elbow go out. Okay, sometimes that's okay for a stop sign or something like that. But if you want to keep your elbows in, there it is. We called it a meatball because literally we used it from my wife making meatballs. She was sitting right there in this house. Okay, and of course we used tennis balls. Last year we decided not to use the tennis balls. We just got into a little bit of yoga, rubbing the thumbs together. You know, I got tired of the tennis balls. The same thing, if I'm rubbing my thumbs together, okay, I'm okay. I don't want to do this, and I don't want to burst. Now, if I'm running down the field trying to get somewhere, I ain't going like this, I'm bursting. Okay, but once I get into fighting distance, I want to get back to where I want to be with my hands, my fundamental position. Okay, feet rooted, hands proceeding, dragging the tail. If we don't drag the tail, present too big of a target, it's hard for us to move because our center of gravity is too high. Here it's easier, plus if we do get hit, we resist better because we're a shorter lever, okay? Anyway, that's meatball drills. If you look at some of my videotapes, you'll see the different incarnations of the drills. But that's the real thought process behind it. Okay, teaching the fundamentals without articulating and getting hit, expanded, or using the hands to generate forward momentum. Okay, keep them in front of you, boys. Don't get hit in the chest. Keep them in front of you. Okay, that's it.